on this computer. We are now recording. Good evening. Welcome, everybody. I see we've got about 40 participants tonight. I'm going to go ahead and get started on our last night with me. I think they might invite me back later this semester, but I'm going to go ahead and finish this up on technology this evening. So I want to start out with TaskStream. You should have all of your accounts were purchased last Friday. I think they finished about 4 o'clock. By 9, I had you all enrolled in TaskStream and put in your DRF. And so I'll walk you in on that one. I'll share my screen. Okey dokey. And so again, TaskStream.com. You should have gotten an email from Watermark, who is the parent company, to set up your account so that you could get into the DRF that I have set up for you. And so I'll walk us in, move all these things out of the way here. Sign in and go to TaskStream and use your username and password to get in. And I'll switch to the author view. So yours will say, it'll either say MSA 12 or MSA 20 fall 22. So most of you are in the 12-month program. And so I will click on that one. And here's what it will look like. And when you finish your app sale and when your coach and instructor tell you it's ready, you will upload it here for final state grading. Please remember, you do not get comments unless you get it sent back for revision. If you get your work sent back for revision, they'll tell you what needs to be done to fix it, and they'll be brief. And then you and your coach will figure out what you've got to do to fix it. Generally, about 95% of the time, it's because you've uploaded the wrong version and you're missing a task or whatever. Rarely will your coach or instructor let you upload one that's not going to pass.
Dr. Lamb, several are putting in the comment section they have not received an email from Watermark.
They all went out on Friday. If you did not get it,
check your spam as well.
Check your spam, as we've told you. A lot of times it goes to spam. Check your trash, your junk, check your spam. And when you go into that link, if it doesn't work, don't be surprised, because that link expires after a short period of time. So when you go in to sign in to TaskStream, it tells you if you've got issues, you have to call Wendy Turbyfield. And let me get that. I'm gonna put that in the chat. Let's see. I'm not seeing the Zoom link for tonight. Okay. So this came in at what time did it come in? At 3:42 p.m. on Friday. All accounts have been created. And I went in and I was able to register everybody. So that means when I registered it triggered the email to go, and I was able to register everybody. I was done by Friday night by about 9 o'clock. I think I had it done.
And Dr. Lamb, that email will say Watermark, will it not? It
will. I had it done by 8:15 Friday night. As you can see from the email on the screen, I have enrolled them all, no issue. Everybody got enrolled Friday by 8:15.
Put Wendy's email in the chat.
That's what I'm doing right now.
I already did it. Her email address.
Excellent.
Dr. Lamb, this is Cassandra Bird. May I share that I had to look a second time for the email after I met with our Zoom team on Tuesday. I inquired because I recalled that you said it was a 48-hour window, and actually it was there. They told me the date is September 9th. And so they need to go back through their email and look for the September 9th emails. And it was sure enough, it was in there.
Yep. It as you can see, let's see.
Some are getting messages now. They're starting to find it.
Yes.
See
you
right
have to
here,
look
what
for
I'm
it.
telling you is when she turned me loose at 3:42 p.m., by the time the day closed out and drove home, I got home about 7 o'clock, and I sat down immediately, and I have to register you all individually, one at a time. And I went in, but I had everything set up. And so as soon as I register you, it triggers that. So the emails came out probably sometime between 3:42 and 8:15.
Dr.
So
Lamb, some of them Kim found out, type in watermark with your emails and it'll show up.
Yep.
Just type in watermark and it'll bring it to the surface.
It'll bring it up. Remember, email stacks. And so, but thank you, Cassandra. That's exactly right. So you can see they've been purchased. As I said, I was able to enroll each and every. I went to the class list. I had them already pulled up and ready to go. I went straight to the class list and went right down the class list in each of the classes, typed in your name. It's an order, but I have to do it manually for each one of you. And it establishes your account. But what it does is it triggers the email that goes to you to register. So that has been done. So if you don't have one, you got to tell Wendy, and she will have them send you another one. I don't know how she does that, but that's what she has to do, because she has to confirm that you have an account. So again, you should be able to get into your DRF. If not, you need to send Wendy an email reminding her that you need one. But again, this is not a sandbox. Let me be clear about TaskStream. We have folks who I don't understand, but we have folks every semester who don't get it. This is not Blackboard. It is not a sandbox. This is what goes to the state. We do not do comments. We don't do rough drafts. We don't just on our own go put stuff in there and hope it's going to pass. You must be cleared in Blackboard by your coach or your instructor to upload to TaskStream. These people only get paid to grade your work one time. They do not like it when you put incomplete work in here. If you put incomplete work in here, they will send it back. And then the second time they send it back, you will be done. You did not pass that one. And then you'll have to come back for $6.99, and you'll have to finish it in $6.99. They won't grade it, but they'll grade it one time. If they send it back, they'll grade the second time. After that, you're done. If it didn't pass, it didn't pass. So don't think that I can jump the line and get my stuff in there and they'll tell me what to do to fix it, and and that. I mean, I've still got people who do that in Blackboard. That's that won't work with TaskStream. I'm telling you before you start. Now, I'll tell you, it costs $2,015 to take $6.99. Let me say that again. If you don't finish your evidences and you don't have your portfolio done, and you have to come back after you finish your coursework, it's called internship continuation, MELS 699. It's 3 credit hours. It costs $515 per credit hour, plus your technology fee, plus your TaskStream fee, and that runs a little over $2,000. So that's a $2,000 mistake if you jump the line and you get yours sent back twice, because then you're done. Nothing we can do to help you. So don't make that mistake. This is where state work goes. I can't say this enough times. Make sure that you understand that. These are double-blind evaluators that are going to evaluate your work. You don't know who they are. They don't know who you are. They do not teach or coach you. It's a separate group of people that we hire to do this, to do the state grading, the pre-grading. So that but the good news is when your portfolio goes to the state, you get your license because it's already been pre-graded. We don't have to turn it in and wait months and hope that you're going to pass. DPI is running months behind on everything right now. Yours is pre-graded before it goes. That's the beauty. And you get a shot. If you turn something in that's not good, you get a shot to fix it. You get one shot. So don't make that mistake. Again, the app sell, the app tell, You'll do your competency analysis. We'll show you how to do that later this semester. It's not due yet. And then your School of Ed dispositions, you can go in and do those anytime you want to do them. You can do them tonight if you want to. School of Ed dispositions are real simple. You click on the button, complete this form, and it's going to ask you about your dispositional behavior. Where do you think you are on learner development? And it tells you what learner development means. Where do you think you are? Now, I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now. If you select unsatisfactory, needs improvement, or meets expectation, you're done. You go on to the next one. On learning differences or any of the others, if you think you exceed expectations, that's fine. Go ahead and mark yourself as exceeding expectations. But you must tell us in a narrative why you exceed expectations. And it's got to be based on the teacher standards and administrative standards. Now, I prefer it to be on the 7 administrative standards. If you don't know what they are, I don't believe I'd be selecting that. But now, if you believe you exceed expectation in any area, that's fine with me. But then you better Google the Principal Evaluation Manual.
And Dr. Lamb, we could require artifacts for that as well. If you, with your narrative, we could require that based on what you tell us.
Yeah, exactly. If you exceed. Now, we expect you to exceed by the time you get done. But here are the North Carolina Executive Standards. There are 8 of them. Strategic leadership. And these are the things, the practices that they would expect that you would be able to do if you exceed expectations, that you would meet these standards of a sitting principal. So if you think that you're already there, knock yourself out. But as he said, as you can see, these are the standards, and this is the language that you would use. You would say, I do these, and these things. But you can also see this section, as Dr. Stedman is reminding you, that you may be required to submit artifacts as well. If it were me, I believe I'd mark myself meets and moves on. But again, it's up to you what you want to do. Now, we fully expect to get you to exceed. You'll be there by the time you're in 605. And the beauty is in 605, we teach you the standards. That's what Dr. Stone does in 605, is teach you those standards so that you can see if you are where you are, if you do in fact exceed those standards. And we expect by the time you get done in 605 that you will grade out as exceeding standards, exceeding expectations. But if you do now, you got to tell us why. Because we have to do a companion to that. So here's the trick. Let me stop my share. When you fill yours out, your coach or me or in combination, we have to go in and we have to do a companion to that. And we could just grade you less than that, but if you tell us that, you got to tell us why. Otherwise, we're not going to put you at that standard, because what we say goes. You do yours, and then we do one, and that's the one that counts for you. And we're not going to just go in and say, yeah, this person, Robin exceeds standards just because she says so. Because in the end, this is what we're going to turn in, that you have met all these standards, that you either meet or exceed all of them. So understand, you can go in anytime you want to and do your dispositions. But if you tell us that you think you exceed, you must use the language from those principal standards to tell us that. And if we can't see it, we may ask you for an artifact. But if your language isn't appropriate, then we'll just say, no, you don't exceed. We'll put you back at what we think you do. So please understand how that works. It's a self-assessment, but it's got to be an accurate self-assessment supported by data. It can't just be, I think so. So please remember that. So again, I'll go back and share my screen and task stream. And again, I'll do a save and return. Okay. All right. And so when you get done, when you have filled it out and you save it and return it, you hit the submit work button and you can submit your dispositions. I would encourage you all to do that to get used to using TaskStream before you have to go in and actually upload your 2 evidences from this semester. Please remember that I am working off the work screen tab you see right here in the center of the screen. I'm using my mouse to circle right here. I am working off this screen. Please don't be one of those people that calls me and says, my screen doesn't look like that. I don't have a place to upload my stuff. That'd be because you're on the comment screen, or you're on the scores results screen. You're on that screen. Make sure that you are on the work screen if you want to upload work. That's what that means. If you want to put work in, you got to be on the work screen. When you get your scores back, it'll be on the scores results page. It'll tell you what your score was. Again, if you don't achieve a 3, they'll send it back one time for revision. If you're a 3 or above, and again, don't be calling me or Dr. Stedman or Dr. Revis or Dr. Crawford or Dr. Hamilton about, I want to redo that. I can do better. We could all do better if we had more time. If you make a 3, we're moving on. We all want you to make 4s, but if you make a 3 or better, we're moving on. There is a set period of time. We can't give you months or, to do a particular thing. We can't do that, because the whole notion is everybody has an equitable amount of time. And for inter-rater reliability, so the 3 means the same here as it does there or elsewhere. This is how much time you get to do this. And again, in life, we could all do better if we had more time. So if you make a 3 and you pass, if you want to do better on the next. All right, so that's what your DRF looks like. It has the things. We'll talk to you later on about some of these other things that you don't need right now. The thing that we need to do tonight now, for those of you who have your account, is we need to set up, and we have a video on this. So if your account, you don't have it tonight, got a short 2.5-minute video on how to go in and set up your competency folio. Now, it's very important that you follow all the steps that I'm going to go through with you tonight. If you don't, you won't have one that works, or it won't be set up, and it won't have the correct template inside of it. I've got all those things in there already. So if you will follow me in to go back to the main menu. And again, this TaskStream symbol right here is your main menu. That's how you go back to the original screen. Is just click on TaskStream and it will take you back to the main menu where you have your DRF. When you get there, do not go into your DRF. Let me say this again. Do not go into your DRF. Go up here to Folios and Web Pages and click on that button. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a new competency folio for you to put your artifacts in. Now, you're only going to create one for the whole time that you're in the program, not one per semester, one. And you're going to add to it every semester that you're in the program. So let me click on Create New right here. And I'm going to put my name on it. This is Dale Fall 2022. Then I'm going to hit the Create New button. Now, this is the most important part. Custom templates designed by your learning community. That would be me, your learning community. Click on that button. And it will give you a drop-down menu. And this is the one that you will select. You will collect competencies for 21st century leaders. Continue. And then you get to pick what you want the cover of yours to look like. I think I'm in a butterfly kind of mood tonight, so I'm going to pick butterfly. And then there it is. My title goes here. I hit the apply button. I'm going to preview it over here on the left. And this is what it's going to look like. Put that out of the way. This is what it's going to look like. Then, once I get to that part, I come back up here and I click on Folios and Web Pages again. And it will be sitting there ready for you to work now. You have to go out and come back in just like I did. So let me find mine. And there it is. You'll just have one. You will have one. And when you click on it now, it will open up, and now it will let you add artifacts to your folio. Now, the beauty of this is because it belongs to you and you've created using my template, you can publish and share it with other folks. William, you got a question?
Yeah. Dr. Lamb, should they all have the same options that you have? Because several are saying they don't have those options.
Yeah, I may have to go back. I may have to go back and reset them. That's good to know.
Several have said that they didn't have those options.
That they didn't have that one. I'll go back and reset it.
Yeah, Michelle said hers are grayed out.
Okay, then probably we've got a problem. Let me see if I can go in right quick and fix that.
Okay.
It may take me a second here.
I did have 3 under the template drop down: presentation, web page, and resource. But again, all
Okay.
3 were grayed out.
Okay.
Thanks, Michelle.
Let me
Derek,
see.
could anything at all under yours?
Yeah, all of mine are grayed out like Michelle's are.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Let me
And again, we wouldn't have known, there was nothing we could have done ahead of time.
that's what I
to
mean.
fix
I
this.
have to wait until y'all tell me when I walk you in. I have to wait to know if it's going to work or not. Most of the time it doesn't. I have to go back and reset it. Okay.
Dr. Lamb, Sarah said that she set up an account when she got the information. She said now it says it's expired. Does she need to call? Does she need to call Wendy?
You'll have to go back to Wendy.
Okay. Dr. Lamb, after you get that fixed, they'll have to go back and reset their screen for it to show up for them. Wouldn't you think so?
Yeah, they'll have to do that.
You'll have to go back and reset.
Okay.
Again, Allie, that's right. I think the link may have expired, and that's what you've got to call Wendy about if your link has expired, and she'll have to set it in. She'll have to give it to you again. Yeah, you'll have to come out of your where you are in task stream and go back in.
You'll need to see this button over here on the left, on the right. See, I'm gonna come out now and do it myself. And hit the log out button and then sign back in. Go back to folios and web pages. Again, create new.
Yeah,
See if it'll work this time.
Sarah said that she logged out and got back in. Okay.
Are we having success getting into the?
Yeah. Jackie Tinsley said hers just worked.
Yeah, it always kicks everybody out the first time, and I have to wait till we get here and then see if it's working again.
Okay, good.
So
So
I've
it should be working for everybody.
It'll be
now,
working. It'll be working for everybody now. The problem is I set all this stuff up before the counts are bought, and when I register you, it knocks them out, and so now it'll stay this time though. It does it every semester.
Dr. Lamb, Kelly just asked, could you just go back over the steps again since
I will
we
do it.
do this? Okay.
All right, so again, starting from your home page, click on folios and web pages. Don't be in your DRF. You know, make sure that you just sign in and you're on this page. And if you don't know where you are, just click on the task screen button at the top left. It'll take you back to your home page. Click on folios and web pages, create new. Type your name in. I like first and last name. You can do that. Create new. This is where you should be able to get your template now because you saw me go in and reset them. Custom templates designed by your learning community. It'll give you a drop-down menu. Competencies for 21st century leaders. Continue. Pick the theme that you want. Danny said he wanted to be a baseball player tonight.
I do.
Apply that. Preview it. Looks good. Move that out of the way. Go out. Come back in. And it should be there. It should say Danny.
I have a question.
Okay.
Okay, when I drop down, it won't have all those choices, the competency and all that. It just says the presentation. It doesn't have all those choices.
When you do this,
It took me that far. I created and everything where I
all
pushed.
right. So what I'm saying is when you get to this screen, select template,
Right,
click on custom template
I did that.
to give you a drop-down menu.
Okay, when it gives me my drop-down menu, it just, it doesn't have all those, it just has 3. It has presentation, folio template, web page template, and resources folio template.
Okay.
That's all that's in mine.
All right. What you're going to need to do is sign completely out of task stream and sign back in.
Okay,
You're there, as you can see right there.
okay,
Wanted to make sure that you were enrolled in the right one.
right.
You got to sign all the way out and come back in for it to show up, and it may take a few minutes.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question. Once we apply our, like I pick stars, once I pick stars, when I preview it, do I then press apply?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And like
Again,
Dr. Lamb said, this is the only time you will build this throughout this program. You
so
will add
yeah,
to it from this point on.
yeah, and you're just going to add to it. And so when you create new general purpose template, 21st century leaders continue, pick your theme, pencils. You have to hit apply. And then you don't have to preview it. You can come back out. If you want to preview it, you can. You can come back out, go back in, and it will be there.
And you should only have one thing to look at. Dr. Lamb's got 1 million, but there should only
You
be
should only have
one thing.
one. That's the one I just made right there. Eventually, you will get to this page. And you will see the 21 administrative competencies over here on the left. You've got to have 3 artifacts for each one of those. Communication down through visionary by the time you finish the program. Now, there is nothing that goes under digital learning competencies. If you click on that button, you will find out what they are. But I have embedded them under the other 21. So for example, when you click on communication, it tells you where your 3 artifacts have to come from.
Dr. Lamb, let me remind them, at this point, Dr. Lamb's only showing you there. You do not do anything in
No.
there at this point. We will tell you when it's time for you to do that. There will be more instruction with
Oh,
this
yeah.
in class. So do not go in there and try to start doing anything with, just build it right now, and then we will tell you what to do.
Yep.
Okay?
And so eventually you will put in 3 artifacts for each of these. And I'm just showing you, when you click on these, it will tell you exactly which ones to put in. This is not hard, but there'll be further instruction and they'll tell you, you won't put any artifacts in until after you finish the app cell. And then of course, in your class shell, they'll show you the easy ones to start with. Let me move that out of the way. So if we go to Dr. Stedman's shell,
Now you'll do 12 of them after you complete the app. So you'll do
Yep.
12 of them.
you'll do 12 at that time. And if we go to app cell template and materials, I'm betting he is going to have a document in there somewhere.
It's in there. I don't know if it's there, but it's in there.
Let's see. No, I know where it is. I'm sorry. I've gone right here. Competency folio materials.
Yeah.
So what he's going to show you is when you finish the app they'll meet with you and he will show you where you will find these artifacts that you will have generated along the way. Here's that document. It's opening right now, and it's going to tell you open-ended, these are the things that you do for them and where they go. If you deal with one discipline incident, that's going to be an artifact. You've got something from that goes to conflict management. So they're going to show you the open-ended ones where you get those. They're also going to show you where you get the ones like from the app cell. And so when you right here, your competency, your artifacts. So when you do the app cell right here, these are the artifacts that you will generate. We already know this. There may be others. We already know that you're going to have an email permission, which is a screenshot. That's an artifact. An agenda, minutes of your PLC, pictures of your PLC. You won't have to worry. At this point, there's no need to worry anyway. But my point is, you don't have to worry about where am I going to get these artifacts. Nobody told me. We already have that mapped out for you, where you're going to find your artifacts that show that you did the work that you said that you did. And this is a folio to keep those. Again, I want to encourage you, pictures, screenshots, agendas, minutes, use your camera, just take pictures of stuff. That's what I do all the time. I have to submit artifacts in my portfolio for promotion and tenure and all that stuff at the university, even as old as I am. They still make us do that. I think it's just mostly to humor people, but I still have to do that myself. And so look at there. Whose picture is that? That's
Okay,
Dr.
we don't see anything, Dr. Lamb.
Look right here.
Okay, you're not sharing the screen.
I'm not. If you look on the, if you look, you'll see that.
Oh, okay.
So
Just showing a picture of you and him and
him and
It
Dr.
looked like
Bull.
Dr. Stedman.
Dr.
Oh,
Bull.
okay, okay,
It was a picture of you.
okay.
It's a
Outstanding Adjunct Faculty Award.
Yeah, for Gardner Webb. He won the big one. He's the big time. He's the big dog.
He did, he is.
He is the big dog. And so let's see. Yeah. And so what I'm showing you right now, and y'all probably can't see this, but what I am showing y'all is how easy it is to gather artifacts. I do it on my phone all the time. And so just like with me, you don't see that picture. Just like with me, yeah. And so there's one, I mean, I was a big dog one time too, but the whole notion is, let me share my screen now if it came through. All right, didn't come through. Hurry up. There it comes. See, it takes that long. And so look at there. That's what we're talking about. Now, Dr. Stedman can tell you that he is Gardner Webb's Adjunct of the Year for this year, that got the Big Dog Award. But I don't know. He's a pretty shady looking fellow to me. I don't know if I'd trust him or not. But see, we have a picture. This is an artifact. He could tell you, but the artifacts don't have to tell us anything. We can look at him and know that he's telling us that he's, if he said he did this, because here's the picture. Dr. Stedman was recognized back in August as Gardner Webb's Adjunct of the Year. Well deserved honor. This is what we're talking about. If you win something, if you do something, you know, you're at an event, you take a picture with somebody. I mean, that's the kind of stuff. Now, this is the kind of stuff that's also so impressive to a prospective employer, because they know you've done stuff, that you're not just talking through your hat. You know, you really did things. And so y'all can't see this, thank goodness. But, you know, when you know, for evaluative purposes, that's a big thing now. Everybody, you know, in an administrative role, for evaluative purposes, they want to see the actual work that you did. They want to see proof that you've done the things that and we call those artifacts. And you just and you don't have to write a big long narrative. You just tell us, you know, I'm Gardner Webb's Adjunct of the Year for 2022, and there's the picture, self-explanatory. That's what artifacts are. That's what this competency folio is. It proves that you did the work that you said you did during this program and during your clinical internship at your school. It proves that you did that work. And you know, the old, you know, forever you've heard, well, how do you get a job without experience? And then how do you get experience without a job? Well, this is how you get experience without the actual job of being a school administrator. That while you're a clinical intern, you have all these experiences. Carry your phone with you. You can turn the phone part off, but you know, you got a camera in your pocket. Take pictures of everything. Take pictures of everything. Hand it to somebody. Here, take my picture. You know, take my picture to PLC. Take my picture when I'm in this meeting with that, doing this, that, the other. Take a screenshot, screen grab things. You know, just like we need email permission from your principal to perform PLC. You know, screenshot that email. That's what we're talking about. Be in the mindset from the very beginning of this program to capture artifacts, because as you saw for principal evaluation and assistant principal evaluation, they're going to ask you for artifacts when you do that as well. One of the reasons why we work so hard on evidence artifacts, that is the evaluation system that you will be under when you get an administrative job. You will have to write a narrative about what you did, the evidence, and you'll have to provide pictures. You'll have to provide artifacts that prove that you did what you said you did. So if you don't like evidence artifacts, this is not the business for you, because this is how you will be evaluated.
And Dr. Lamb, many of you have already gone through national board as teachers, and it's the same process. You had to do all kinds of artifacts to become a national board certified teacher.
So just go ahead. If you're not in the habit, you know, this is the time to get in the habit to do these things. And it's really good for prospective employers. They love it. And because, let me share my screen again and go back. When you, now don't do this yet, but when you finish your portfolio, your competency folio, you'll be able to go in and publish and share it. And you can email this web folio, and you can send them a link. It's just that easy. Customize URL address, send. Let me see. I'm gonna send one to myself.
This is something that after the program's over with, you can put it on a flash drive and save it and use it for future purposes.
Right.
Am I right, Dr. Lamb?
You can. Yes, you can. You can save it. No password needed. Send. All right, it's going to email me that, and when I open that link, it's going to look like this. Through the magic of television, see, it's already shown up. See, it's going to come, it's going to look just like that. It's going to come to that person's email address. And so through the magic of time and television, when they click on that link, it'll look like that right there. And then when it comes, it's going to look like this. How pretty is that? And then when they open it up under communication, it's going to say, these are the things that I did. And here's the link to open to look at those pictures. That's what it's going to look like. Now, you don't have to have just 3. You could have 100. That'd be great. She's got 4 on that one. She's got videos, web links. She's got pictures. That's what it's going to look like when they get it. And it's going to say, this is what I've done. You don't have to put as much narrative as a narrative did. This is what I've done. And here's the picture of it. How easy, and how, again, the folks who get this link, they don't really want to read your evidences, and you can't hardly blame them, but they love to see the pictures. They love to see the artifacts. They love to see the things. So, you know,
So you build your own, what Dr. Lamb has shown you, you build your own, and then your instructors will show you over the next few weeks what you need to do, how to build it, how to set it up. They'll show you what needs to go in it.
Yep.
And explain that more to you. That'll be during our Tuesday night classes.
Yep. All right. So that's TaskStream. Again, if you don't have your email Wendy, and she'll have them send you another link. Be looking for it. You may have to do a search in Outlook, but be looking for it. Once you get it in your, let me share my screen, last thing, somewhere in your class, there is a MSA and the competency folio resources. When you click on that, my suspicion is there's going to be one that says how to set up your competency folio. And when you click on that, it's going to be a commercial
Hey, Joe. Great time.
with a fellow with no pants on.
And they're going to find it in more than one place, Dr. Lamb. It is located in several places.
And you will see, and this video only lasts 4 minutes. And so if you want to go back and see how that works, again, I've got a video for you on how to go back and do it, what we did live tonight. Make sure that you can do that. All right, so we're going to shift gears now. You should be able to get your account established and do those things, and they're going to work with you as we go. So I want to talk to you tonight about EVOS before I go with you tonight. All districts in North Carolina use EVOS. Most of the districts in South Carolina use EVOS. The ones that don't use student learning outcomes, it's the same thing. It's value added. The notion here is instead of comparative accountability in terms of student test scores, standardized test scores, it's growth. Do you grow kids? Does a teacher grow 85% of their kids at least 1 year of growth? And does a school as a unit grow at least 85% of the teachers grow their kids? And that's what they're looking for. And so the notion with EVOS is it is a more realistic view of what you do with kids in terms of the school, the administration, and the teachers, as opposed to a comparative accountability, which is really more about who you get, not what you do with them. And so the notion is what we're trying to do is grow every kid in school 1 year. And so the question comes, what is 1 year's growth? Well, it is not a set score or a standard score. The growth score for a kid is based on that kid. Every growth score for every kid is individual to that kid. One of the biggest problems that we have in school administration is teachers have all of these wrong-headed notions, or these wives' tales, or whatever, husband tales, or what, I won't be misogynistic tonight, that they believe because somebody told them or they heard it. And it's kind of like correlation with my doctoral students. The first example of getting things wrong with doctoral students is heat, ice cream, and crime. Did you know that crime and ice cream consumption go up the same amount and come down the same amount all the time? But they're not correlated to one another. They're correlated to a third variable, which is heat. And so, but that's the kind of mistakes that we can make, that we think we know things, or we've heard things, that some kids, it's easier to get growth out of some kids, and that because every kid has their own individual growth score, every child, it's the same degree of difficulty to get growth, a year's growth, with every child based on their individual score. This notion that these high kids, boy, it's hard to get growth. No, it's not hard to get a year's growth out of them. Their score is scaled for where they are. And so that's one of the things that you're going to have to understand, but you're going to have to explain to teachers as well. And so after 20 years of data collection, SAS Institute, right outside in the Work Research Triangle in Raleigh, they collected state testing data in North Carolina for 20 years. They dumped it all in one big database, and they ran an analysis of variance, and they identified the 10 variables that would be dependent variables that affect or outcome a student's score, which is the independent variable. And they also developed an algorithm in terms of all 10 of those variables are not equally weighted. They all have a different percent of variance. And so I'm going to walk you through that model tonight. Now, these percentages are, you will not find this on a website anywhere. SAS is a private company. This is proprietary information for them. And the percentages vary a half a point one way or the other every year. But basically, this is the model. And so I will show you the model at this time. This is the model. Here we go. All right. Value added. We're trying to isolate the value that a teacher has put with the students in her class or his or her classroom. And so we can go through all these things. This is the calculus part, and it's a linear regression. But here's the heart of it. These are the things that count. Here are the 10 variables that affect a student's test score: race, mother's education, father's income, teacher, school district, school grade, age, gender, and previous test scores. Those are the 10 things that are used to factor that growth score for an individual child. All right. Now, the percentage of variance at each of those counts, again, this is what the data says. Race counts 30%. If you're white, it's 30. If you're black, it's 20. If you're Hispanic, it's 15. Mother's education, 15 if they're a college graduate or greater. If they're a high school diploma, it's 5. It's less than 5 if they're not a high school graduate. Father's income, they make above $150,000. This is all stuff that school has, that we have on this. Why does those two matter? If dad makes enough money, mom sits at home, does lap time with the baby, and she's educated, the kids do pretty well. Teacher only makes 10% of the variance in a kid's test score, only 10%. That's if she's doing or he's doing a great job. School district is 5, high wealth versus low wealth. School, high performing school versus low performing, 5, grade 5, age 5, gender 5, previous test scores 5. So here's how this would work. This is an actual student that I have taken. 3rd grade math, EOG has 180 questions. So total raw score that any student could achieve would be 180 if they got all questions right. The question is, what score out of 180 would represent a year's growth? Again, it's not set across the board. It's individual to each individual child. So the regression equation used to determine that would be this. So Jamar's a 3rd grade student in Charlotte Mecklenburg. His dependent variables are, he's black, he gets 20 out of 30. If he's white, he'd get 30 out of 30. And if he were Hispanic, he'd get 15 out of 30. That's not based on some race-based, oh my God, that's a race. No, that's traditional scores. That's what we're talking about, is from data analysis over now more than 30 years, that's how those things purred out. Mother less than a high school diploma, 5 out of 15. No father in home, 0 out of 15. Teacher, we always consider teacher 10. CMS is a high wealth district. Low wealth district would be 2. He was at Billingsville, which was the takeover school, so he gets 0. If it had been a high growth school, it'd been 5. Grade 5, he's not a repeater, so but however, he was developmentally delayed, so he started school a year late, so he gets 3 out of 5 on that one. Gender, 5 because he's a male. Female would get 4. If it were reversed, if this was because this is math. If it were reading, it would be reversed. Male would get 4 and female would get 5. If it were a reading test, again, historical test data. Previous scores too wasn't on grade level according to M-class data coming out of 2nd grade. So his equation looks like this. We add all those together, and he's got to score 55% of the total raw score in order for him to show a year's growth. So he 180 times 55%, he's got to get 99 out of 180. And if he scores 99, he's made a year's growth. That's the way it works for every child. So this notion that certain kids, you can't grow them, or it's harder to get a whole year's growth, that none of that is true. It's individual. All of these factors are taken, all of these variables are taken into account for this kid. And that's how we come up with that score with this regression equation. It's just that simple. This is not hard. And so what we're trying to do, the only thing that's a variable for the school in this is that teacher. If that teacher adds what they're supposed to, that kid will make the year's growth. If they don't add what they're supposed to, the kid won't. And this is how we know whether teachers are doing what they're supposed to be doing or not what they're supposed to be doing. Are they adding value? Is our school growing kids a year? See, this doesn't say, well, in comparative accountability, if you're at a Title I school, well, they're all low, well, y'all aren't doing a good job. But if we grow them all, we did what we were supposed to do. This is about what you do with kids, not about who you get. And that's what we're all about. Now, Dr. Crawford had an emergency tonight.
Dr. Lamb, the question was asked, how does SAS know father's income and mother's education?
Because they have to fill out the forms. We collect that data when you enroll in school. You have to do free and reduced lunch form. We have all that.
It's on multiple forms actually that.
Absolutely. That's why I said all this stuff we have access to.
Yeah. And it goes into the database system. That's what your Power School person, the Power School person has all that information for
Absolutely.
every child.
We have to have all this, we have to have all this at the time the child is registered. We have all this information. These are the things that we know. We know all this information. What we're trying to isolate is this. That teacher right there, that, are they adding that 10%? Are they adding that value? So Dr. Crawford was at a Title I school, and again, he had a family emergency right before tonight, but he was in Title I school last year in High Point. And they made the most growth of any school in the Triad area. That's Winston-Salem, Greensboro, High Point. His school made the most growth. And every one of his kids free and reduced lunch there. You just got to know what you're doing. Now, Dr. Hamilton is an expert. Her school has not been high growth, and she has the elite kids on the other end. And everybody says, well, they're the hardest ones to grow. She's never not made high growth. How is it that the two folks that work with you, one of them is at one end of the scale and the other is at the other, and both of them make high growth? Because it's not about the kids, it's about the teachers and what you do. All the variables are controlled for. The only thing that we don't control is the teacher. That's the only real variable in the equation, and what you do in your building with your teachers and what they do in the room with the kids. Dr. Crawford made high growth. Dr. Hamilton made high growth. They do every year. Why? Because they know what to do. And so here's a document that I have that's just basically a review of what EVOS is. It's a value-added system. And it provides progress over time, identifies opportunities for growth, and provides predictions for future success. Opportunities for growth for your teachers. The data that EVOS provides is valuable in informing our practice as educators. It helped us adjust instructional delivery and helps us plan for growth opportunities. Here's the web address if you don't understand what EVOS is. And this is the things that EVOS will help you know. Where are your students making growth, and how do you know? What achievement levels are not making growth, and why do you think that is? What subgroups are or not making growth in your classroom or in your school? These are the things that EVOS data can answer for you. Why do you think your students who made progress did, and why those who didn't in your classroom or in your school? Given last year's data, what strategies would make a difference for students at each achievement level? What kind of support or other data you need to carry out your plan? So the notion here is that EVOS is about what we do in schools. It's about the quality of our instruction. It's not about the kids that we get. We can't hide behind that excuse one way or the other. And so now I'm going to turn it over to my colleague and expert, Dr. Hamilton, and I'll put her slide on the screen.
Thank you. I don't know if I'm an expert, but so first of all, just to understand EVOS, understand that it's basically the bell curve. And what is under the green that you see highlighted there is like that middle part of the bell curve. And then to the right, the blue is the outlier. That's the exceeds growth. And then to the left, the red is the outlier that does not meet expected growth expectations. So anything that is a 2.0 or above exceeds growth expectations. Anything that is a negative 2.0 or below does not meet growth expectations. So anything that is a negative 1.99 to a plus 1.99 is considered under that bell curve of meeting growth expectations. So that's important to know and understand. Can you scroll down, Dr. Lamb?
I can.
Thank you. And so EVOS has sort of disaggregated their information just a little more in the last few years. And it shows, of course, that blue is at least 2 standard errors above, and that exceeds growth. And then they have that dark green for when you're between the 1 and the 2. Then they have the regular green for when you're between 1 standard error above and 1 standard error below. And then between 1 and 2 standard errors below is that light green. So it sort of gives you those variances and nuances of the color of green, since it goes from a minus 1.99 to a plus 199. That sort of gives you those nuances of where you fall. And then of course that red means that you were 2 standard errors below, and that indicates that there's significant error evidence that the students made less than expected growth. And when you're right on that 0 line, that 0 line is like that midline right directly in the middle of the bell curve that says you did exactly, like you met that year's worth of growth. And that's fine. I mean, that's what we're after, is to meet that year's worth of growth, you know, but you always want to do better than that, right? So let's scroll on down. Just a little. There we go. And so you can look in your EVOS reports, and your principal can show you that right now. In EVOS, you're going to see the 21 data, the 2020-21 data. Even though your testing department currently has some preliminary growth information for you, they do not have the disaggregated growth information for you yet. And so that will come out sometime around the end of October, 1st of November. I hope it's not as late as Thanksgiving, but sometimes it is. And that makes it, this is a very difficult thing for us in the world of education. But so in this example, one report that you can pull up, and you can pull up a lot of reports, but one that you can pull up is the student groups growth report. So this one is clicked on subject area, and you can also choose student groups, but this one is subject area. So we'll see right here that I have my academically gifted children pulled up. And this shows that our overall growth index was a plus 2.92. So in our academically gifted students, we had exceeded growth with a 2.92. That shows that our 3rd grade academically gifted students, and I can't really see it that well, maybe a 0.43. So they met. 4th and 5th grade exceeded, which when combined, all those scores together, and that is not a simple average, but that is combining those together as if it were one data source. It came out to the exceeds growth. And that can be hard to understand if you get like your math overall and it's really, really high and exceeds, and then maybe your reading comes out and it's not so high, and then you didn't exceed overall. That can really be hard to understand because these are not simple averages. This is taking all the data together, treating it as one data source, which does make it more valid and reliable. Then you can see the disadvantage students met, and you can see the range in which they met. So let's scroll on down. So yes, so that just shows you that in EVOS in elementary school, your EVOS scores are calculated on 3rd grade reading. Why just reading? Well, 3rd grade has a beginning of grade test, and they have an end of grade reading test, right? So you can measure growth from the BOG to the EOG, but they don't have a BOG for math. So when they take their EOG in math, there's nothing to measure that against. So you have 3rd grade reading, that's 1 score. You have 4th grade math and reading because we have previous 3rd grade scores to measure that against. And then we have 5th grade reading, math, and science. And it is my understanding, someone can correct me, it is my understanding that science is based off of the other scores, and they can make that determination based on the growth predictability on that. So that means you have, in elementary school, you have 6 scores, right, that your EVOS is counted towards. It's 3rd grade reading, 4th grade reading and math, and 5th grade reading, math, and science. So in elementary school, we do have class size limitations in grades K1, 2, and 3. In grades 4 and 5, we do not have a class size cap. So if you are trying to decide, do you want to have 30 in a classroom in 5th grade, or do you want to have 30 in a classroom in 4th grade? I would advise you to put them in 4th grade because you have 6 scores that goes towards your growth. 6. 3 of those come out of 5th grade. So you better know that when I am able to make my 5th grades as low as possible, I do. because that's where half my EVOS comes from. So that is very important to know. Only 1/6 comes from 3rd grade. 2 out of 6 or 1/3 comes out of 4th grade. And so half of your EVOS score is from 5th grade. So when I have to make the decision, who's going to have the 30 in the classroom, 4th grade or 5th grade, it's going to be 4th grade every time. I have a class size cap in 3rd grade. I don't have that in 4th and 5th, because we know that smaller class sizes increases the availability and the ability of teachers to be able to reach individual children and help them learn and grow better. So just, just a little tidbit from me. Plus they're in 5th grade and their bodies are bigger and everything else, which has nothing to do with EVOS, but lots of reasons to have smaller classes in 5th. Okay, so let's scroll on down. And okay, so also in EVOS, you can ask your administrator to show you the decision dashboard, and you'll see this lovely pie chart. And so you'll see here that they have the children broken into 5 quintiles, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they will show you the growth of each of those. So in this particular situation, which is intergrade 4th grade, I didn't have enough students in the 1st and 2nd quintile to be statistically significant, so it's not reported. The 3s, you see they met growth. The 5s met growth, but the 4s in this case exceeded. So what did we do for those children who were probably not AIG, but they were probably right on the cusp of being AIG? What did we do for them? And you can look at that and see who the children are when you're in a live document. But what did we do? And then what do we want to do to apply that same strategy to our other groups? So we can scroll on down. And so here's a little activity you can do. This is always a fun thing. So look at your teacher's historical EVOS data. Look at those who are in the quintile 1, 2, 3, 4s, and 5s. Did they, and it'll show you in EVOS, you can see a bar graph in there and everything. Did they meet? Did they exceed? What did they do? So when you're thinking about children, maybe you know someone that you know someone who has just struggled forever, and they're just very, very, very low. So, and this is this is the year 2020, let's say. Let's not say that because that was a terrible year, but anyway, so let's just say it's 2020. So I might want to put a child who I would consider being Q1 with teacher B, because teacher B has had more success with exceeding growth expectation with children in Q1s than teacher A. Teacher A met, and meeting is fine, but we really want to set that bar high for the exceeding. Now, teacher B does not work as well with her Q5, let's just call it the AIG children. She does not work as well with her Q5 children as teacher A. And then look back at teacher A, she's the children in the middle, as Dr. Lamb just circled, the children in the middle, she is completely losing them, like whatever it is. For whatever reason, she's either teaching to the high or she's remediating to the low, but she's missing those in the middle. All right, so let's scroll on down. And these are real data. I didn't make these up. And then this is my favorite example from a few years ago. So this is a teacher that I had. And in 2017, you see she met growth. You can see by the little green bar right there, she met growth. Of course, the 0 line's right there in the middle. I'm still thinking about that bell curve, right? So she met growth. Now look how close she was to the red, but she met fine. In 2018, she did better. Yep, she sure did. In 2019, she did even better. Now I can tell you that in 2019, she was out for a few months and she had a student teacher who basically ran the class. I'll just tell you, I know this, right? These are the qualitative things you know. So this multi-year trend, this is important. The multi-year trend, back to this is not a simple average, because she argued with me. How could I be green for 3 years and my multi-year trend is red? Because this is not a simple average. Let's just say that there were 20 children in the class each year. This is not they didn't say this divided by, plus add those 3 things divided by 3. It's not a simple average. This is, they treated this as if it were a data set of 60 students. And then they calculated the growth measure based on that. So they treated this as one group. It's not a simple average, because the more data sets you have for any statistical information, the more valid and reliable it is. So when they did that, then her multi-year trend was in the red. So that just shows the validity of that when you're looking at a more valid data set. That's just like in North Carolina, if you don't have 30 students in a subgroup, you don't get a report out for that subgroup. It doesn't count for you. It doesn't count against you, because there aren't enough students there to be statistically significant. So, so this is just a great example. I love this one so much, because it really shows that even though individually each year you can be. So this is how, then let's say that every teacher may be met, and maybe your grade level comes out blue or your grade level comes out red. But even though each individual teacher met, it's because when you put all that together to the grade level and you do that data analysis, then that increases the validity and reliability of those data points. And so that multi-year trend is very, very important. So yeah, so that's EVOS. The way I use it, oh, that just shows that what the numbers were. That's on there too. I love EVOS, and I cannot wait. It should be out. I'm hearing end of October, 1st of November, hopefully not as late as Thanksgiving. So thanks.
All right, thank you very much. Now, there's not going to be a pop quiz on this, but please know, next semester, when you get to me in law and finance, and the first thing we do is start building a legal master schedule, that there's going to be the rationale for building your school's master schedule is going to start with your federal programs, federal law, state law, local board policy, and then EVOS. That's the fourth factor. And then teacher input's going to come last. And what we're talking about, and let me share the screen, and why this is so important, is right here, what Dr. Hamilton just shared with you. I'm not going to have this teacher teaching these kind of kids if I can help it. Right here, I am not going to do that. That wouldn't be smart on my part. I'm going to have this teacher teaching these kinds, and I'm going to have this teacher teaching not those. Those are the kind of decisions that you have to make when you do a master schedule. You look at your EVOS data, it tells you what teachers ought to be with what kids. Now, if you can't get into this time deal, and I guess that's kind of my summary for the evening. In modern schooling that's data driven, we make decisions based on talent, not on time. What does that mean? I don't care if you've been teaching for 30 years. I don't care if you went to school with my daddy. I don't care how old you are. That means nothing when it comes to outcomes. And this notion of, I'm department chair, I've been here the longest, I ought to get to teach these kids. Not if your data doesn't say you ought to be teaching those kids. Time means absolutely nothing to me. It's about talent. Can you get scores out of that quartile of kids? I told you the first night we met, if you don't think standardized test scores don't matter in school, get out now. Your job as a school administrator is to make a good number go up or a bad number go down, period. Good numbers are student achievement. Bad numbers are disciplinary problems, suspensions, and poor attendance. Those are the bad numbers. You got to make them go down. You might got to make the good numbers go up. That's what they pay you to do. You don't teach a soul. You do not have a third grade class you're teaching math to. Your job is to get performance out of your students. You must be a champion for students, not for teachers. That sounds cold and hard-hearted. Guilty. This is a business. You are changing careers. You are now going to be supervising and managing adults, not students. And you've got to make the hard decisions, and they've got to be based on data. That's what you're doing in the app cell. You're doing your data dig right now. And you're coming up with, this is where we are. We got to fix this. We've got to address this. What are we going to do? That's what your PLC is charged with doing right now, to find your most pressing need and then do your lit review and annotated bibliography to try to find something to fix that problem. And that's what they pay you to do. They don't pay, you know, it's a good thing they don't pay me for how kind I am or how pretty I am. I wouldn't be able to pay the bills. They pay you for performance, folks. That's kind of what that's kind of where I'm leaving you tonight is you got to understand that shapes everything that we're going to do in this program. Is if you understand it's about performance, and if you can keep that in perspective, that doesn't mean you have to be awful and that people don't want to work for you or those kinds of things. But you got to be a champion for students. You got to remember that every time, all day, every day. You're a champion for students. That's all I know. I'm done. I'm turning it back over to the people who know something. Dr. Stedman.
Well, I want to thank all of you. This has been a most informative night, as the others have been. It's a lot, and all of you knew some things about EVAS, and that has been evident in some of the work that you've turned in already. But I knew that Dr. Lamb and Dr. Hamilton and Dr. Crawford, had he been able to be with us, would be able to take it to a different level of understanding for you, and that's what they have done. We will not, this is our last coaching session until for a few weeks. We'll come back after we start the APTEL, and we'll do something at least one night then. But at this point, use your time wisely on Thursday nights. That is a time that you have gotten accustomed to being with Gardner Webb. So your Zoom teams, your Zoom group activities, that would be a perfect time to go ahead and schedule, to do those kinds of things with your team, since you're already accustomed to doing things on Thursday night. So I would say work smart, work wisely, and get it done. And we'll see you next Tuesday night. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.